evening, Leroy. Welcome to another edition of From the Pressbox.
What's going on, Sam? How are you?
I'm tired. It's been a
You've
wild.
you've had a busy day today, my friend.
Yeah, nothing like high school soccer games getting moved from tomorrow night until tonight. And listen, soccer is, I don't mind the sport, but the broadcast is really hard. So I was trying to describe it to somebody is it's like baseball, but I actually like baseball. So because it's just a very slow paced game. Because it's part of a basketball. It's up and down. Football, there's always action happening, and technically there always is action happening in soccer, but it's very much just.
No,
And Johnson passes to Klamola, and Klamola gives it off to the right side now to this guy, and
the old Mike Williams joke of if I wanted to spend 90 minutes watching people not score, I'll go to the bar.
And I mean, Zach, in like good soccer, like I've done a couple of games where it's been a really good game.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun because it's back and forth and so on. Tonight, not necessarily that example. But
while we're talking about soccer, I read today the team lost
because that's what everyone expected us to start off with. When the NFL season starts tomorrow is high school soccer.
I read today the team lost a soccer game 149-0 because they would just, as soon as they'd score a goal on themselves, and as soon as they were done, they'd just go back and keep doing it over and over again. They were protesting a certain ref being used in the match who always gave them yellow cards or was against them. And so it took place in Madagascar, and they basically just said, gave the middle finger and just said, but if you're the other team, if you're the other team, how are you? What are you doing?
Because at some point it's like, can we play? Can we play the game?
Normal game. 149-0, man.
That's honestly kind of funny though. When you think about it. Coming up on today's show, though, it is the kickoff to the NFL season starting tomorrow. Leroy and I are going to go division by division, give our picks, Super Bowl picks, MVP picks, Rookie of the Year picks. That's the wrong sport. Wrong sport.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong sport. There you go. I don't think there's bats in it. We're going to just talk a lot about the NFL and then, of course, have our weekly segments. I know I'm excited, especially about Play Clock, Leroy, because my two questions for you are not sports related, but it's like I need the wisdom of one Leroy Klamola on both of them, because that's what people tune in for, is to hear your wisdom. So I hope you're ready for that. And then, of course, we'll update on our pick contest. We can easily just say right off do we want to start the broadcast with results, or do we want to wait until the end?
We should start our podcast with results. That's what we should start with.
Results from the pick contest from last week. Leroy and I both got 6 out of a total of 8 points was the possibility. So Leroy correctly picked Grayson County to upset McLean County.
Yes!
You did. And I didn't think it was going to happen. Grayson County won 27-8 in high school action. I correctly predicted Taylorville to defeat Robinson, which the final score of that game was what, Leroy?
35-13.
Okay. We both predicted Kentucky to beat Ball State. Pat on the back. Leroy believed in his Wildcats, and Rutgers defeated them. They did score.
Again.
They did score at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, but our quarterback got hurt. So,
see, I didn't realize that. WKU worried us at the beginning, but we both got the pick as they defeated South Florida. We both picked Utah over Florida. We both picked Ohio State over Indiana. I missed. I predicted South Carolina to beat North Carolina. Leroy got that one correct, and then we both took a big old whiff on LSU. So we both got 6 points. We'll have more for our picks for this week because we get to throw in Bears and Bengals picks.
That's right.
This. And I see here Paul's already talking smack about the Jungle Fantasy League that he's in. We just had a draft. Wow. Already talking smack. I will say, Paul, that my co-host on Jungle Juice, which is our Bengals themed podcast, was getting very mad at you because he had the pick right after you, my good friend Mick. And it was funny because we were talking on the phone during the draft, and he goes like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick Joe Burrow here or something," and every single time he said this, Paul Reeves picks the guy. Hilarious. I think it was only like in the 14th round that it got to a point where you pick somebody that he was not going for. And I, for one, was enjoying it very much. And it was just funny.
Paul. Very
great
good,
minds. It was almost like you were listening into our phone conversation. Maybe you work for the government, Paul. I'm not entirely sure. You work for the NSA, but I enjoyed it. So shout out to Paul Reeves to start off the broadcast. Yeah, he says, I know football. Yeah, I mean, it was just funny to me.
We know.
It was just funny listening to him say, I'm going to pick this guy. And then all of a sudden, there goes Paul Reeves picking him. NFL season begins tomorrow. Chiefs, Lions. I know I, for one, was a little bit surprised. I mean, the Chiefs obviously were going to get the game. But the Chiefs this year host both the Eagles and the Bengals. And I was feeling pretty confident that one of those two teams was going to get it. Is that my bias, Leroy?
A little bit. I think the league as a whole is very pro Detroit right now.
Who'd have thunk that? Who'd have thunk you ever saying that?
Words come out of my mouth that I would never expect to come out of my mouth. But yes, no, I think when you look at what they were able to do last year and they look at their offense and you look at what they've been able to do as a team, there's a lot of high hopes for a team that really has not had that much success recently. It reminds me of, honestly, you guys, when you guys got Joe Burrow and you guys really started playing good football. That's what it reminds me of, because there was a lot of kind of, well, the Lions are going to lion. And when you look at this team and you look at what they were able to do, they really feel that the NFC North is now theirs. With Aaron Rodgers gone from the Packers, and we'll dive deep into that, but I understand why the Lions got opening night, because there's a lot of hype around that team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't fault them for picking that. It was more of just when it came out, I was like, oh, okay. And I know that they ended up throwing Bengals Chiefs to New Year's Eve, like the second to last game of the season, which makes a whole lot of sense, because that game could very well decide home field advantage, and that gets all of the eyes. It's the only game on that afternoon. I know John Wright. I was going to say, John really quick writes, Lions might legitimately win with Chris Jones out and Travis Kelce potentially being hurt.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was more surprised that they went with a non-traditional matchup. I mean, you're talking an AFC, NFC matchup that...
What happened last year, too.
We don't see those kind of... I mean, it's like... I'm trying to think of another good example, but
last year it was Rams-Bills.
Yeah, it's just a weird matchup when you'd think that they'd want to get the season started off with, like... And to be fair, the Bears do play the Packers on Sunday, so it's not like they've completely abandoned rivalries week one. And in fact, the Bears have played the Packers in week one, I want to say 3 or 4 years in a row now that they've opened the season against each other. But I just find it weird that they wouldn't jump on board with having a Thursday night big football rivalry to get things kicked off, like the Cowboys and the Commanders or something like that.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs get it because they're the Super Bowl champions.
Right.
So that's why. But I mean, you could throw that in. Right now, one of the best brewing rivalries in the NFL is Bengals Chiefs. I mean, they played, each of the games have been great, and I don't disagree with what John said, is Eagles Chiefs would have been a great opening night game as well. And who knows, maybe tomorrow night it'll be an absolute classic of a game.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see how the Lions do. I really am, because again, there is a lot of hype on this Lions team. A lot of people are predicting them to win the NFC North. And it'll be interesting to see if they can play against that competition of Kansas City.
Alrighty, let's go. Let's just start. Let's go division by division.
Okay.
And let's just go AFC first. We'll start
right.
there, just in alphabetical order. And AFC East. We'll start there. So you got Bills, Dolphins, Jets, and of course, now that I'm putting myself onto the spot, I'm going to forget the last team, Patriots. I was going to say, I had to keep talking, and I knew it was going to come to me. I think, obviously, the most interesting part about that division is Aaron Rodgers going to work?
See, and listen, the division belongs to the Bills, all right? I think the Jets are overhyped. I've been saying it all week. I said it last week as well in some of the conversations I've had with some of my friends is I just don't see all of this Jets love. I mean, they remind me of the New York Mets when it comes to baseball. They have a lot of hype, but when it actually comes down to playing the games, it's not really that great. And the thing is the Jets have brought over a lot of pieces from the Packers to help Aaron Rodgers, but let's face it, that
45-year-old Randall Cobb.
Yeah,
and I say that as a Kentucky fan.
But let's face it, that Packers team last year wasn't very good. So I'm not quite sure the love affair that they have with giving Aaron Rodgers his friends to come play football with him, because quite frankly, Rodgers only has a couple of years left, and I would think that he would want to have a little bit of support. The other big thing that scares me about the Jets is the depth. If Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, you have Zach Wilson in there. All right.
And I mean, you could easily say that about every team in the NFL.
Right.
But if Joe Burrow gets hurt, then they have Jake Browning.
I know.
I mean,
it's one of those things where I just don't see the Jets being all that is great right there. As far as the Dolphins go, Dolphins are one concussion away from being out of it as well. You take Tua out of the equation, and all of a sudden the Dolphins become very one-dimensional. And the Patriots,
I'm not in on the Mac Jones train. So because of that, I don't think, and I think that offense for the Patriots just has so many questions with it. I mean, the Bills are probably the best team in the division. And if you're making, in fact, I say, if you're making me pick, of course, we're making myself pick, because that's what we're doing in this segment. I'm picking the Bills, but because I'm kind of with you that I don't think the Jets thing is going to work. Does that mean that I don't think the Jets are going to make the playoffs? Not necessarily. I could see them being the 6th or the 7th seed, but I think that I don't know. And then the Dolphins, like you said, I read somewhere that I think it was in a piece on The Athletic earlier this week where they interviewed anonymous GMs and front office and coaches and all of that. And I always like those. And one of them described it saying that the Dolphins are interesting because they have so many huge personalities in that locker room. And that means that that's either going to work or it's not.
Well,
and that's why I'd probably lean toward it not, because I'm not in on the Tua train either.
CBS Sports had the Dolphins as the worst team in that division with a 9-8 record. And it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, you got everybody in the AFC East having a winning record. At some point, like, some of these teams are not going to be hitting these marks.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I think so. You agreeing and saying the Bills win the division?
I said the Bills. The Bills are going to win the division.
I do agree with that. The AFC South.
Yeah.
Houston, right? Winning the division? Indianapolis? Tennessee?
Well, it's got to be. I know John Malone is a big Colts fan, so he's riding the Richardson hype train all the way to Ohio for the Hall of Fame. But
listen, if Anthony Richardson makes the Hall of Fame, I don't even know what I would do, just because I think that's so blasphemous. I'm not in on that. And listen, why the Colts picked him 4th, I think will go down as just an awful decision. But that's a conversation. We've had that conversation plenty of times on this podcast. I think that Jacksonville is the best team. They have the best quarterback. They got good wide receivers, good defense. Do I think, like, I've seen them be a trendy, like, number 1 overall seed. It's like somebody trying not to be the guy that picks Bengals, Chiefs, Bills.
Right.
So I'm going to just throw and say the Jaguars are the number 1 overall seed. I'm not quite that on board with them, but I think Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the division. And most of the time when you're going into predicting a division, the best quarterback usually wins it. Usually.
Well, and he is a big reason why that Jaguars team is so good is because of Lawrence and what Lawrence is able to do in his vision out on the field. They are missing a few pieces. It's clear that they're having some trouble. They're going to have some issues in some games, but they are probably the best team that comes out of that division. The only other team that may be able to compete is Tennessee. But again, Tennessee worries me as far as if you thought the Jaguars were missing pieces, the Titans definitely are. So
AFC West, you got defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. You've got the Chargers, you've got the Raiders, and you've got the Broncos. Like, are they like they're there?
The Broncos intrigue me simply because of Sean Payton being there and what he's able.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Is Sean Payton not one of the more overrated coaches?
Yes. I will agree with you on that.
Okay, because
everybody loves him, but when you look at his records,
yeah, he won the one Super Bowl. And I mean, listen, am I saying that he's not a great coach? No, I just think that like there are some people that put him up on that tier, like close to like the Belichicks and the thing. And look, good, John's with us too. That Sean Payton is overrated. I just think that they think that he's coming in here. And it's going to be like he's going to flip a switch and all of a sudden Russell Wilson is Patrick Mahomes. And I just don't see that happening. It wouldn't shock me if the Broncos are terrible again. Paul's going with the Chargers.
Can I just say that I find it absolutely interesting that they keep having these weird quotes from Sean Payton to Russell Wilson. And I never know if they're serious or not. Like they'll post like a picture of Russell Wilson and then a quote underneath it said by Sean Payton. I don't know if it's true or not because literally any conversation that Sean Payton has with Russell Wilson is believable to some extent. Apparently, he was telling Russell to stop kissing so many babies and play football. Again, don't know if it's real, but
I believe it.
I believe it. Fits.
I mean. The Chiefs are just it's getting to the point now where you thought when they traded Tyreek Hill that something had to like they were going to not be as good. Well, that proved to be wrong because they were still just as good. Their wide receiver core is not great, but they have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have the best tight end in the NFL, and they have one of the best coaches in the NFL. I like Sky Moore, but just comparatively speaking to what they've had, I think Mahomes can elevate average. I would pick the Chiefs to win this division just because it's hard to bet against Mahomes.
Chargers are like one piece away from being legit as far as being able to compete. I think the Chargers are like, and Paul, you know what? My heart says Chiefs and my head says Chargers. So, you know what? Just to be the different odd man out, I will take the Chargers as winning that division. But again, it would not surprise me if the Chiefs did. Broncos aren't close, and the Raiders are absolute trash. So
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Paul writes in, it might be a decent play this year. He almost cost me the Jungle Fantasy League last year because he had a big goose egg late in the year. And so I've written him off. He's on my no draft list.
Sam's done. You get put on that list.
Next up in the AFC is the AFC North. So you've got the team near West Virginia. You've got the mistake by the lake, and you got the Ratbirds all in there.
You can't do it. I love it.
John Malone says, did the Raiders even change quarterback? Is there really that much of a difference between Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo kind of fits in that Sean Payton role,
the
too.
Same picture.
Everybody's like, oh, he's such a great. Wait a second. I just saw this comment come through. What? What is your wife writing here, Team Mahomes?
Oh, are you really? Are you really surprised that my wife is all about
permission to block her from the chat? But Leroy, we went through on my Bengals podcast last night. We predicted game by game, and I had the Bengals going 12-5, and I have them winning the division again. They will be the first team to ever win the AFC North 3 straight years. Leroy, you know what? Here, I'll mute my microphone so you can have the floor and talk about the AFC North because I might be just a tad biased, smidge. Okay, my mic's off. How do I need to put my 40 seconds on?
No, I'll
Okay.
keep it short. I'll keep it short.
No, I'm
So
meaning
here's
more of just so I can shut up for 40 seconds.
Oh,
Okay. I'm
yeah,
muting
you might want
myself
to
right
mute
now.
your mic. Yeah, you
Okay.
might want to mute your
I'll
mic.
do 40 seconds.
A lot of this is going to depend on how healthy Joe Burrow's knee is. If Joe Burrow is able to play football the way that he did last year, they're going to be all right. If not, they're going to run into issues, and I think a lot of it's going to be stamina for the longevity. He does worry me a little bit as far as just being able to how healthy he'll be on that knee. Teams are going to be going for that. They know he's got a weakness. They'll be going for that. The only team, though, that I see as being able to catch them is the Ravens. The Ravens create an interesting problem as far as having a decent – you can shake your head all you want to, but the Ravens have a fairly decent defense and are trying to find some support on that offense to be able to push them over to that point that they need to be to compete. But right now, it is the Bengals division to lose.
Okay. Look at me being nice, not saying anything. Listen.
No, but are you concerned at all about Joe Burrow's knee going into
his knee?
this
Not at
season?
all. It's been his calf that has been the biggest issue this offseason. Is he had the calf? Am I concerned?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not concerned, but I'm not like overly concerned. He didn't seem concerned talking about it today. And then when you look at the rest of this division, and again, I'm taking, if I have to take my Bengals cap off on this, like legitimate 100% take is, and I see here it was, John says Lamar actually has wide receivers. Does he? Like you have Odell Beckham coming off of another ACL injury. Is that really it? And then you've got some unproven guys on the other side too. Okay, Christy redeems herself and says that she likes Joe Burrow too. But so, and I'm not, and listen, and I'm kind of with Paul on Lamar is this new style of offense will be interesting is that the Ravens have always built their offense around Lamar Jackson. And now the new, Todd Monken style might be putting more onto the arm of Lamar Jackson. I don't know how much I don't trust Lamar's arm. And again, and listen, and like I said with the AFC South, as I said, most of the time in the NFL, the team with the best quarterback wins the division. And it is hands down, without question, that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the AFC North. And that's not me, yes, I'm wearing the Bengals hat, but he is. He's the best quarterback in the AFC North.
As long as we're talking about, and I know you're not going to want to talk about this, but we have to because they're in the division. Will the Steelers have another year where they're above 500?
And John writes in here and says
you would like them to go 0-17.
No, I know
you would like them to go 0-17.
0-50. 0-17 is too good for them.
But can they have another 500 season?
So here's the thing. I honestly think that the AFC North will have 3 teams in the playoffs. And I think it'll be Bengals, Ravens, and either the Browns or the Steelers. And I think the question on that will depend is which Deshaun Watson it is. Is this Deshaun Watson at Houston or is this Deshaun Watson last year? Because if it's Deshaun Watson last year, the Browns, I'm not even afraid of them at all.
He promised all those Cleveland fans happy endings. All right.
And there's the first Deshaun Watson joke of the broadcast. And it wasn't me that made it. Good. I don't know. Okay. George Pickens, absolutely not. No, we're not even talking about George. I mean, listen, T.J. Watt's an excellent player. I think the Steelers go in as, their typical 9-8, 10-7, and they don't do anything else. Paul, I hope you're right in saying that the Steelers will not have a winning season. But I do think that the AFC North will have three playoff teams this year. And I do pick the Bengals to win the division, which you did as well, correct?
I did too, correct.
Okay. Correct. Jumping into the NFC before I got to jump off my bandwagon here.
Easy, Bengal boy.
Yep. Calm myself down here. NFC East. We'll just start there and kind of wrap it around just like that. And we'll finish with the NFC North, just like we finished with the AFC North.
Yeah.
The NFC East, very interesting division. Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, and the defending NFC champion, the Eagles. How do you see it going?
Eagles are going to take that division. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of fight from the Cowboys, but again, I think the Cowboys are going to trail off as we get closer to December and we get closer to the playoffs. When you look at their schedule, they've got a little bit more of a tougher schedule, and I just don't see that they'll be able to compete there. obviously not a very big fan of the Cowboys, but even, I mean, I'm not a fan of the Eagles either. Let's be real here for a second. But I think that division it still goes through Philly.
Again, Chase Blaine shows up with his random teams that he likes, saying he's a big Commanders fan, so he's on board with a Sam Howell. And I agree here with what John Malone says. Is the Commanders have a decent roster, but they need a quarterback. Giants have a question at quarterback. Cowboys have a quarterback in Dak Prescott, but how good is Dak Prescott?
And that's just it. Is it Dak Prescott from when he first came into the league, or is it Dak Prescott who feels like he needs oxygen every time he gets off the field?
And that's why I would ride with the Eagles as well, just because, again, going with the when in doubt, take the team with the best quarterback. And the Eagles have the best quarterback. They've got a great offensive line, a great defense. It's interesting. Yeah, he better. I got Scary Terry in a couple of leagues too. I have it in the Jungle League, Paul. This is how we do it is my fantasy team name. That's solid. Can Pollard carry the load all season? Good question there from John Malone as well, because he's been used to sharing that with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of these questions is that, and I think in that division, it's brutal, it's good, but I still think the Eagles are the best team.
Yeah.
How about the worst division?
Cowboys fans relying on CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, and it's like, okay, fine, but again, is that going to be enough to carry you guys?
How about the worst division in all of football? The NFC South. Falcons, Panthers, Bucks, Saints.
Why is this division for the last 3 years been, who wants it? You want it? I don't want it. Do you want it? No, not me. Why have they been so bad?
I don't know. It is an awful division because here's the thing. Like, I think you can make a legit take for any of the teams to win the division. And I think you could make a legit take for any of the teams to finish last in the division. And I agree with Paul. I picked the Saints. Is that a confident pick? No. And it wouldn't shock me if that's like an 8-9 Saints winning the division. Or a 9-8 Saints. Like nothing better than that. But again, it would not surprise me if it's the Falcons. It wouldn't surprise me if it's the Panthers. It wouldn't surprise me if it's the Bucks. I still would pick the Saints, though.
I will go with, gosh, they're also trash. I guess I'll go with the Saints, but man, Falcons. I mean, Falcons are going to be decent, but are they going to have enough weapons to be able to test?
I don't know that I trust. I don't know that I trust Desmond Ritter.
Eventually, right, guys. Right?
Desmond Ritter is my question with the Falcons. Is that I'm not on the Desmond Ritter train, and I think he's probably the fourth quarterback in that division. And it is tough to win a division when you have the worst quarterback in the division. Yeah, just like John said, Ritter is a huge question. I think I think you know what you're getting in Baker Mayfield. You know what you're getting in Derek Carr. Bryce Young's the number 1 overall pick. And then you have Desmond Ritter. It's just a bunch of questions with that. And that's why I couldn't pick the Falcons. If the Falcons had any of those other 3 quarterbacks, I might pick them because of Bijan Robinson and because of Kyle Pitts and so on. But because of the quarterback position, I don't think I can do it.
No. Buccaneers going to shock the world with Baker Mayfield, man.
Listen, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, it just shows you how bad that division is, though. NFC West. Rams, Niners, Seahawks, and Leroy's pick, the Arizona Cardinals.
Paul says he would pick the Falcons if I was quarterback, but not Ritter.
How many, in all seriousness, how many downs would it take for you to end up on the cart? Like, how many could you last before you would end up on the cart or the trainer would have to come to you?
3.
I was going to give myself 2.
I think I could do 3.
3 handoffs?
Oh, I'm not throwing it. Are you kidding me? I can't even see over the line, man.
I don't know if Paul's talking about himself or if he's talking you up, Leroy. He's going to say a drive. Is the drive throwing a pick on the first play?
No, I got it. Ah!
Throw the ball up on that mountain.
Just hope somebody catches it.
The West, and I think starting off with the West is Seahawks. Like Geno Smith. Like are we? Like how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I know. And I know that the 49ers just gave an extension to
Nick Bosa.
So I mean, they're trying to keep them going here. But again, 49ers remind me a lot of the 49ers need, I don't know, man. I don't trust the 49ers. Something about it just makes me feel that they're an overhyped team. As far as what they have going on,
I don't think they're overhyped, but I do think, like, I'm not. And now I can't even remember the kid out of Iowa State, their quarterback who came in, Mr. Irrelevant. Of course. Now, how can I not remember his name? But I'm not trusting him because I think he was almost just a one-hit wonder of where he had his run. And other than Brock Purdy, thank you, Paul. I knew it. It was like it was on the tip of my tongue, and for whatever reason, it's been a long night already. Brock Purdy, but I don't know. I just think Brock Purdy was kind of your one-hit wonder. They hit lightning in a bottle with him, and I think he's going to kind of revert back, kind of like the Geno Smith of you are who you are. You is who you is.
That's what scares me about Geno Smith is, let's face it. Geno, if it was baseball, Geno would have been tested for steroids because there was, I mean, he had some really down years and all of a sudden had one really, really good year. Can he keep that going this year as well? I don't necessarily think that. I think this division is the 49ers to lose, but I just wonder if the Seahawks will be able to maintain given what they have and given the quarterback that is older than me.
Okay, I'll give you this. Over under 2.5 wins for the Arizona Cardinals.
Over, but barely.
So what if I had to put it at 3.5?
Even.
You can't.
Under.
I was gonna say you can't even at 3.5, but I don't know. I'm just listen. Purdy might end up being great this year, and then it started off. Yeah, I mean they're starting Josh Dobbs. Like, yeah,
3.
Yeah, and I think that's probably pretty close to it. Okay, the NFC North. Packers, Lions, Vikings, and wait, who's the last team? Vikings, Packers, Lions.
You know, I was really nice to you, you jerk.
And the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. Okay, Leroy. I went first when I was talking about the AFC North, so give me the reason why the running back Justin Fields, timeout. I do want to say, and Paul Reeves will back me up, one Mike Williams, his fantasy quarterback in this league, is Justin Fields. Which
is it really?
It is.
Are you kidding me?
And then listen, and Justin Fields is a decent fantasy quarterback, but when I saw it, I laughed out loud. And Paul will back me up and say, "Yep, see, he says it is." But
Paul,
again, off topic, but
oh my gosh! For those who don't know,
Mike Williams is a friend of ours who is a big Bears fan, and is hate too strong of a word of Justin Fields?
No, he hates him.
Yeah, he said fantasy and real life is different, is pretty much what he said. But okay, back on topic.
All right,
Leroy, give me your NFC North take.
So hard. All right, I still think this division runs through Minnesota. Vikings got this division down pat. Minnesota or the Detroit's right there again. I think Detroit is a little bit overhyped. Their offense is fantastic. Their defense, I kind of question their defense a little bit. Their defense kind of questions me a little bit. But I do think the Lions will make the playoffs, which is pretty cool because it's been a long time since the Lions made the playoffs. I think I was like 8 or 9 the last time the Lions made the playoffs. So it's been a little while. Chicago will be most improved. I think when you take a look at all the teams from last year compared to this year, I think Chicago will be one of the more improved teams.
What's that look like?
That is a 8-win team. That is that is an 8-win, 9-win team who just misses out on the playoffs.
Interesting.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose a game in like week 16 or week 17, and that's gonna be the thing that keeps them out.
For me, it's the Minnesota Vikings. I'm picking them. And then unless something happens to Justin Jefferson. Now, if something happens to Justin Jefferson, I would take the Lions. But, and I mean, John makes the good point, won most games by 3 points or less, big negative differential, cut Cook, traded Thielen. I think the biggest thing with the NFC North is that there is not one quarterback in that division that scares me.
No, Fields' arm is horrible.
Jared Goff.
Cousins is awful.
Jordan Love.
Love is awful.
We don't even know what it was, and I had to make sure there was a comment about Jordan Love earlier that I wanted to say.
Oh, it's from my friend Sarah, who's
there
a big,
there it is.
Who's a big Packers fan.
Jordan Love wins the Super Bowl. Now that is
a very tough
I
take.
hope Madison carries the load, Paul, as somebody who has him on his fantasy team. But I would pick the Vikings, but I don't know that I'm confident.
If Justin Fields can throw, and you know what I mean by that, if he reaches that 3,000, 4,000 yard mark, I think they're okay. But that is a big, big question mark as far as that goes, because let's face it, he didn't have to throw last year. Or if he did, he chose not to. The Bears had leads in, I want to say, 13 of the 17 games they played last year at halftime. The Bears had leads in 13 of those 17 games and only won 3. Like, it's one of those things where they need to figure out how to play football in the third and fourth quarter. I don't know if it's just lack of adjustment or what, but it's really disappointing when you go into halftime with a lead and then all of a sudden your team comes out completely different at halftime. And it's just one of those things where, it's a Claypool.
Sorry.
I mean, it is. It is. I mean, and again, I know.
Why did the Bears give up a high second round pick for Chase Claypool again? Why?
Because
that is just a dumb trade.
I know.
Dumb.
I know. Okay. Poles thought he saw something in him. He did not. But yeah, that's
O-line did get better.
And that O-line, that O-line terrifies me, John. That O-line terrifies the crap out of me, brother.
Alrighty. Leroy, who wins the NFL MVP?
NFL MVP.
You know what? I'll start it off, and listen. Call me a homer, Joe Burrow. Call me a homer, but it's not crazy.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow. Who wins the MVP?
I will go with. See, I should say Goff from the Lions, but no, I'm going to go with Mahomes.
And John says Trevor Lawrence.
It's
not an awful pick by any means.
That'd be great. I'd be all right with Trevor Lawrence winning it. That means the Jaguars would get pretty far.
Yep, and Paul agrees too and says Trevor Lawrence going way out on a limb. Let's see here. Let's go offensive player of the year.
Offensive player of the year. God, I'm horrible at these. Who you got?
I'll say Justin Jefferson repeats.
I'm going to go with
John says
Christian
McCaffrey.
The Lions, Amon-Ra, the Lions wide receiver.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Interesting pick. Defensive player of the year. I'll say Micah Parsons. Again, that might be an easy one, but I'll say Micah Parsons. Paul says Jamar Chase. It's hard to disagree.
Brian Urlacher.
I don't think he's been in the league for, like 30 years? 15 years?
Has it been that long already?
It's probably been 15 years.
Oh, my goodness.
You can go with one of the Bosas. Paul takes Nick Bosa as his defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I can see. Well, he just got that extension, so he's either going to have a great season or a horrible one.
As a whole, we'll say rookie of the year. We won't split it between offensive and defensive, and for me, it'll be Bijan Robinson.
I'm going to go out on a limb and make a wild pick with this. I'm going to go with Richardson from the Colts. The thing is he has to play, right? I mean, they have nobody else on that. And again, Bijan's probably going to be the actual guy, but I think Richardson might shock some people. I'm kind of curious to see how he handles the pressure of being a rookie quarterback going in there and getting all the reps to start things right away with pace. Almost every quarterback that comes in has at least 3 or 4 weeks that they sit behind somebody else. They're throwing Richardson right in day one. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how he does with that.
I think the best way to do this next is let's pick our championship games. So the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. We'll start with the NFC this year. Leroy, what is the NFC Championship game this coming season?
It's going to be a repeat of the Eagles over the 49ers.
And you know what? I'm going to take the Cardinals defeating the
Bears?
No, I'm not that crazy. I'll take, you know what? Honestly, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Eagles over the 49ers. The AFC Championship game, Leroy.
Bengals over the Chiefs.
I agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think the Bengals get it because I think it's in Cincinnati this year. I think it happens in Cincinnati. John writes in Ravens, Bengals, 49ers, and Eagles. Alrighty, Leroy.
Yeah, another great
Super Bowl. Your Super Bowl is Eagles, Bengals, and so is mine, Eagles, Bengals. Who wins the Super Bowl?
You better clear off some space on that mantle for a replica Joe Lombardi trophy because you guys are going to win the Super Bowl.
We're going to win the Joe Lombardi trophy and not the
Joe Lombardi trophy.
That'd be a very Bengals thing. Honestly, I predicted it last night on our podcast. If it's going to happen, this is the year. This is the year. And
your window's getting a little, not necessarily small, but you really
this is as good of a chance as ever. So I'd take the Bengals over the Eagles in a close game. And Paul says Vince rolled over in his grave right now.
I know. I got excited.
I will apologize in advance to my neighbors if that happens. Well, probably not because I probably won't be able to talk. It'd be like you when the Cubs won the World Series. I do agree that the AFC wins the Super Bowl. I don't throw the Ravens into that conversation though. I don't put them in just because I'm not on the Lamar train, and I've never been on the Lamar train. I think teams are starting to figure him out. Jaguars, Eagles. Paul Reeves goes with Eagles. Win.
That would be a Super Bowl. Let me tell you.
See,
that would be either the most watched or least watched Super Bowl ever.
And I think a lot of people, like, part of me as a Bengals fan would want Bengals Niners again. Yeah, Jags Lions. That would be. I was trying to think of what would be the worst potential Super Bowl for, but I think that one would almost be random enough that people would watch it. Like I feel like Cowboys Chiefs would almost be one of the worst ones because people.
Is there a Super Bowl you wouldn't watch? Like if the Steelers were playing somebody from the NFC in the Super Bowl, like if the Steelers were playing the Packers, would you watch it?
Well, that happened, and I did watch it, and the Packers won, and I was a very happy boy. Yes, because I cheer for the Bengals and whoever plays Pittsburgh. So I would be the number one. Like if it was Philadelphia, what is it? Fly Eagles fly? Is that what they say? Yeah. I'm all on board. I'm all on board.
Decked out in green and stuff.
Yep. Without question, if it's that. Yeah, and I'm watching regardless. Yeah, I'm with Paul on that. Now, I will admit
I was just wondering
watching,
if there was ever a Super Bowl that you'd be like, oh, absolutely.
Watching this last year's Super Bowl was a little tough because, it was so close. 2 years ago, though, it was, I still will never forget, hearing Welcome to the Jungle as the Bengals ran out onto the field in the Super Bowl. I just straight up goosebumps. And then they broke my heart. I sat on my couch just over there for like 3 hours and didn't move because I was just sad. I was like, have you seen Arrested Development? The GIF of head down. It's Michael Cera's character, and I can't remember George Bluth III, I think is his name, and he just has his head down. He's just doing like the slow walk. That's pretty much exactly what I was. Titans Commanders would be the worst one for John. Hopefully Chase isn't watching anymore. He'd be very mad about that you're talking crap about that. Any other NFL points? Because we went extremely long on this, but
we did go extremely long on this segment, but it's well worth it seeing as how it's this week. So
do you have any at last things before we jump into some of our other segments here?
No, I think that there are going to be. I don't necessarily think that the only thing that I'm going to say is I think the Carolina Panthers will do way worse than what people expect. I think the Panthers are going to kind of bring up the rear as far as teams go this year. And do you have a who you think will be the most disappointing team? I was trying to think of like who's going to be the biggest letdown this year.
There are a couple that come to mind. Because I think that's such an open interpretation. Because, there would be some people, like if the Bengals don't make the AFC Championship, there would be some people who would say that's a disappointment. But is that really like a big disappointment? I honestly, Ravens are up on that list for me. I don't know. I'm just not on that thing. Paul says he didn't watch Raiders-Bucks Super Bowl. You didn't watch the Gruden Bowl? Biggest letdown will be the Vikings. I don't think that's a bad take.
I think the Jets will be the biggest letdown this year.
Not a bad take. Not a bad take either. I don't know. It's not one that I'd really thought a lot about. But how about
we're ready to go?
How about I hit this? Let's see if it'll work. Technology's been a little slow today.
Let's go. I will
time for
comments.
Leroy's logos. Never played along with this segment. It is our time for Leroy. I have 3 college logos for Leroy. And of these 3, there is a theme for said logos. And Leroy has it. Leroy, I have misplaced my piece of paper that says what your numbers were.
I did really well last week, though.
I think yes, you pulled a couple out of your rear end. And how you got those, I still don't understand. I will admit, though, this week is maybe a little bit challenging. But more, it was just because I had to get these in about 5 minutes because it's been a busy day. So, Leroy, I ask you, would you like door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3 first?
2.
Door number 2.
Oh,
that is your first one.
Wow. Already? What the hell is that?
Door number 2. It's one of the newer D1 schools.
Is that a jackalope?
Close. Close.
Wait, did you say they're a newer Division I school?
They are. Probably gave you an easy hint there. Maybe, I don't know.
Nah, I got nothing. Antelopes, but I don't know what they are.
Sorry, had to throw one of those up there. And I give Mr. Chase Blaine pulling it out. Grand Canyon. GCU, Grand Canyon Lopes.
If you stuck $1 million and a beautiful woman on top of them and said you could have all of that if you named it, we'd be sitting here for months.
Alrighty, would you like door number 1 or 3?
Yeah, 1.
1. Where's the music? Come on, music. Door number 1.
Oh, that's Drake.
Drake, is that your final answer?
That is Drake Bulldogs.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Correct. Listen, I didn't expect you to pull Drake out there. Chase says in one of his sports classes they were talking about logos and that one got brought up. Interesting. So Leroy gets Drake. He is 1 of 2. The final one, door number 3. Door numero tres.
All right, I will go. I was trying to think of states that started with a D. All right, nowhere. I know. I'm going to go with Delaware University. What do you want from me?
No, we've already had Delaware. You know what? I'll give you a second chance. Remember the Blue Hens.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give you a second chance because I'm feeling generous.
Okay. All right.
Come on. You got one or no?
No.
Okay, well, I had to hit you up with one of those. The correct answer is Paul guessed Duluth. This is the University of Denver.
Wow.
DU.
What is their like logo?
Mascot?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll tell you what. I don't know. Like, that is rare that I don't know those. But Leroy, while you're thinking about it, what is the theme? Drake Bulldogs, Grand Canyon Antelopes, and the Denver Pioneers. I have it on here now. It says here on my logo. The Denver Pioneers.
They all won their football games this weekend. I don't know.
I don't think Grand Canyon has a football team, and I would imagine Denver doesn't either.
I
got to guess?
What's the theme? Your volume has been all over the place.
Yeah. I've been trying to play with it because you don't like it when my logo's theme is too loud. And then my sound effects, I need like a mixer, and I don't necessarily have that for this system.
We need more people to watch our podcast so that we can get money so that we can buy Sam a mixer.
Chase says states that touch in the 4 corners. Not a bad one. Well, here, I'll ask you this, Leroy. Do you know where Grand Canyon University is?
I would assume Phoenix.
Do you know where Drake is?
I thought Drake was in Iowa.
It is not.
Okay.
All of these are in capital cities.
Oh, all right.
Of states.
Okay, so where's Drake?
Drake is in Iowa, apparently Chase says. Is it? Yes, it's in Des Moines. It's in Des Moines. Yes, it's in Des Moines. Yes, you're right. It's in Des Moines, and Grand Canyon is in Phoenix, and Denver is in Denver. That I threw Denver in there and hoping that would kind of lead you in the realm, but it did not work. It did not work. I tried. I'm sorry. How about some play clock here?
Yeah.
Let me pull up our countdown here because I've been scrambling the entire day. Would you like to ask or answer first?
I've been asking a lot lately, so I will answer first.
Okay, that's not what you're supposed to do. Do these teams have football teams? I think Drake has a football team. I don't think Denver or Grand Canyon do, Paul.
No, Denver has a really good hockey team.
And I remember there was a few years ago, I watched Denver's basketball, like the conference tournament that they were in, and they went on like a run. They were like the 12 seed, and they went all the way to like the semifinals. And I don't know why, but I just was like all on board with cheering them on and watching every game, and they missed it, like lost on a buzzer beater or something, and then their coach got fired the next day. And I just felt really bad because for some reason I was all on board with them, and they let me down. And then they fired their coach. And I don't remember the guy's name, but it was something like, it was like Joe West. Like it wasn't Joe West because I know he's the umpire, but it was like a really simple name. And I just like, I don't know why. I just felt a connection to him. So I'm asking you first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm interested in your opinion on this. I'm going to start with, okay. So I got home over the weekend and, it's the beginning of September and you've been to my house before, Leroy, but it's like a duplex. So I live on one side and my neighbors live on the other. And I got home over the weekend and my neighbors on their door had a skeleton hanging on it. And then in their window, they hung up like a window cling that says something like Happy Halloween and Boo or something like that.
It's September.
Leroy, I ask you, is it too early?
Oh, I'm old man yelling at the cloud on this one. I know. I've already seen the Halloween stuff up, man. And I'm telling you, I am not doing anything Halloween related until it's like October 10th to like the 15th. Usually I pick one of those weekends to go hang up my decorations and stuff, but it's too early, man. We're going to be putting up Christmas stuff on November 1st, which I also disagree with wholeheartedly. I don't see the need of putting up decorations a month and a half, nay, 2 months before October 31st. Come on, guys. I get it. We all want to be in the spirit. But that's ridiculous, man. Yes. Thank you, Paul. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big Halloween person either, but I just wanted to make sure. And I mean, I'm not the kind of person that's going to like call my landlord and complain or anything like that.
No, but I'm just
I just wanted to make sure that I was.
I don't agree with that either, John.
Yeah, no, Christmas stuff should not be put up until December the 1st. I need to have my turkey before I eat my any Christmas trees.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't being grumbly old man at the cloud of it. I'm not mad about it, but it was more just like I pulled into my house and was like, what is that in their window? I was like, it's a skeleton. And I was like, September the 2nd? Okay.
They are ready to go, my friend.
Let's go. Ask away.
So I know Messi.
Yeah, what if they're watching the podcast? I don't think they're watching the podcast, but if they are, hello, neighbors. I can't imagine they are. But if they are,
tell them now.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Okay, ask away.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Yes, go to our YouTube channel.
Lionel Messi, for those who don't know, Lionel Messi is a soccer player. He just signed a big contract to play in Florida and will be playing soccer in America. There was a lot of discussion because he played in a tournament. Soccer has a bunch of tournaments that happen before the season starts, and then they get into the regular season. The tournaments are ways to warm up and everything. Are you a big fan? And some of these people see this as a money grab, as ways for these teams to make money because people want to come see Lionel Messi. Are you a big fan of these early, because I know you watch soccer, are you a big fan of these early tournaments, or should it be just when the season's going and just play the season as is?
So these happen like throughout the year. It's kind of like soccer does almost what the NBA is starting to do with like their mid-season tournament or something that's starting it up. To be honest, I don't care. I like it because what they do, one of the things that soccer does is they do what they call the Open Cup. And it's really cool because they put every soccer team in America enters this tournament. And it could be the Taylorville Tornadoes FC, professional team plays in the championship against FC Cincinnati or something. And they could play all the way up with that. When FC Cincinnati was at the lower level, they played up and they beat the Chicago Fire. And it was a great atmosphere. So I don't have any big deal about it, but listen, it's the Messi thing. It's the Messi effect. People want to say that I've seen one of the best players in the world. I
have a friend who's going down there to watch him play, and she kept bragging to me about seeing it, and I'm like, I don't really care, man. Like it's yeah, I guess so. That's not that big of a deal.
When he came to Cincinnati about 3 weeks ago, I looked at ticket prices.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cheapest seat was, like $375. And I was trying, and then after I saw that, I asked myself, I was like, was there a price that I would have paid? And I don't know. Are you ready to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, I told you that I had two different like conundrums for you. I don't know if that's the right word, but this is another one that I'm interested in your opinion. We both live in a similar sized town. And I'm sure, and I think even right next to you is a gas station, right? Your radio station, correct?
Unfortunately, yep.
Correct. And so just up the road from our radio station is a gas station as well. And I think it has 8 pumps, 6 pumps, something like that. So I'm going to ask you, Leroy, on this question. How many pumps need to be open to where it is okay for you to go in and get something to drink or buy some cigarettes or go to the bathroom? And how many need to be open before you would have to theoretically, or you should, pull your car up and park up front? Do you get my question?
Yes, I do. So Christy and I have had discussions about this.
I'm interested.
Christy is my wife, and we've had discussions about this. If there's 2 spots, if there's only like 1 or 2 spots open, I'll usually pull up just to be a nice guy. Now, I have sat there. If there's somebody that gets right behind me and they're like honking and being super impatient, I might not even need to go in, but I promise you I will. So if you're honking and you're eager to get to that gap, that's not going to make me go any faster. I promise you. But generally I will try to be nice if there aren't very many spots filled, and I'll try to move up. But you getting behind me to wait for me to get out of is not going to make me go any faster.
So you think it needs to be like a quarter of the pumps need to be open?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't pump his own gas. That's right. I forgot there are states that do that.
Isn't that weird?
It's weird. Have you, John? I don't know you. I presume you do, Leroy, or maybe not. Maybe he's just found the show. Have you ever pumped gas? I'm just curious to him because I know that there are people like that have never pumped gas. Oh, you're back, Leroy. You were frozen there. Yeah, it's illegal to pump gas. Yeah. Paul says there need to be at least 12 pumps. Interesting. It's an interesting conversation to have. Okay, I'm ready to answer, Leroy. Let's get rid of. Okay, Paul's comment didn't want to leave, but yes, I have to pump gas in the ambulance I work on. Okay, it's interesting. I know that there are some people from New Jersey that have never done it. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, I want to start this off by asking a question. Which conference is the best conference in college sports?
The SEC.
Okay, all right. I wanted to have you say that because I want to have this go in a certain direction. All right. Which conference would you say is second? And if you don't say, you can say whichever one you want. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Honestly?
Yeah, yeah.
Pac-12.
Okay. So, what would you...
And I'm saying Pac-12 like 2 years ago or like last year. Like that iteration of the Pac-12.
When they actually had more than 4 teams. Yeah,
correct.
Gotcha. What would your feelings be if there was a type of relegation system in college sports? The SEC being Division I and having 15 to 20 teams, having the Big Ten right underneath there, having another conference right underneath there, and having it set up where the top 2 teams in that conference move up, because conferences don't matter anymore. So my question is what would you feel about a relegation system where the bottom 2 teams of, say, if Vanderbilt and Louisville finish in the bottom in the SEC, what would you?
Louisville's not in the SEC.
Yeah, I know.
They'd never be in the SEC.
I know. But again, what would your feelings be if the bottom 2 teams from the SEC drop down to the Big Ten and say Michigan and Ohio State move to the SEC?
I think it's interesting in a couple of points with that is, for one, so many of these college programs have good sports in them. Like Vanderbilt might not be the greatest football team, but they're consistently one of the best college baseball teams in the nation. Kentucky might not have the strongest football program consistently, but their basketball team is consistently usually one of the top teams in the program. That's where the relegation thing would be tough, because how do you go when, the Vanderbilt football team is awful, but then do you really want to drop Vanderbilt baseball down to the Sun Belt? And then they just torch everyone. That's where it's a little bit interesting, because unless you just completely take college football and put it in its own window, I don't think it'll work.
Yeah, I had a dream last night that Northwestern got relegated to the MAC, and like absolutely destroyed them, but then just kept every year kept switching between like the MAC and like the Big Ten, like kept going back and forth because they weren't good enough to be in the conference.
To be consistently in there, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And that's where it's just across all sports, it would be really tough. Do you have drivers?
I do.
Okay, let's do some drivers here, and then after that we will have our pick contest, and then I think that's about it for this week, right, Leroy? Because we're going long today. We got to talk about the Cougs and the Naders. Do they call them the Naders?
For those who don't know how this segment works, I show Sam, maybe if I can get this to work. I show Sam a driver, and Sam doesn't even have to tell me who the driver is. All he has to do is tell me whether or not he is a IndyCar driver, a NASCAR driver, or an F1 driver. So, Sam, I trust that you're going 1, 2, 3.
Reverse today.
Okay. I
have been doing well recently, Chase. Not too bad. I haven't been doing too bad on the drivers, right?
You've been doing fairly. Actually, you've been doing really good. All right.
I like using my context clues. Okay,
Here we go.
Here. My goodness. Okay, here. Let me turn off my comments here over on the side. Good Lord. IndyCar.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Yes, that is an IndyCar driver. That's last year's champion, Will Power.
Will Power.
How
about that? Paul Reeves and I are both 1 for 1. Sorry, John. You missed that and go on to, okay. I'm putting it away. We're going to our next one. Now, do I have to remove you from the stage, or are we all of a sudden going to get random phallic symbols that are going to pop up?
Shut up.
Listen, Paul was there. He saw it too.
It was not. It was a finger.
Paul, was it a finger or was it a phallic symbol? NASCAR.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Yes, that is a NASCAR driver, actually. That's AJ Allmendinger.
Yep, the greatest road course driver in NASCAR history. No, Marcos Ambrose is the best road course driver in NASCAR history.
Big. All right, you ready for the next one?
Okay. Yes, I've removed the guesses from on there. I'm just going to go off the logo on the hat. And I don't know this for certain at all, but I'm going to say that's Richard Childress's logo. And because of that, I'm going to take an IndyCar driver. That's my final answer.
All right. That is a NASCAR driver. And Richard Childress isn't in IndyCar. That is the I forget
Front Row Motorsports.
Yeah, but that is Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland.
That is not a real person. Is he related to David?
Yeah.
Is it like his son or something?
Are they brothers?
Let's see. Chase, listen, Chase will know. You don't even need to Google it. If it's his son. His son. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Listen, Paul's with me. That was not a finger a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, my God. I'm going to find the picture. I'm going to find it and post it. It was a finger with like some ointment at the end of it or something stupid that.
Yeah, some ointment. Pick contest time. It is that time in the episode where Leroy and I will make our picks of the week. If you've never joined in on this segment, each week, Leroy and I will now have the opportunity. Yep, John says it was the 11th figure. He is correct there in saying it.
John.
Each week, Leroy and I will now have the opportunity for up to 10 points. We will each pick the high school game that the other person is doing. So Leroy will pick the Grayson County game. I'll pick the Taylorville game. We'll each pick the Kentucky, Northwestern, Bengals, Bears game, and the WKU game. And then each of us will pick 2 games that the other person does not know that we're picking that can be either NFL or college football, but it has to be like FBS college football.
Correct,
I can't drop like a center on you. Or I was joking earlier, I don't even Presbyterian against Virginia Lynchburg, I think was one of the ones that I saw.
Yeah.
So we'll start at the top. And Leroy still has the advantage in the pick contest, 7-6, as we both got 6 points last week, and he got that correct. So, Leroy, you will get to pick first, but I guess that's really, we started off with the high school games. Grayson County against Butler County. The game is in Litchfield. It is being held here at Grayson County. You no longer get to ask any questions about the game.
But do we get what their record is? We should get what their record is.
Okay. I'll allow it. Grayson County 2-1, Butler County 1-2. Chase, no commenting until Leroy makes the pick because Chase obviously knows a little bit more about it. But Leroy, is it going to be Grayson County or is it going to be Butler County this week? No more questions for you. I get one question.
All right, I will go with Grayson County.
Leroy's picking the Cougs. Is that your final answer?
Lock it in.
He picks Grayson County. Chase Blaine is a very happy man because you picked against Butler County. Chase despises Butler County. What's the Taylorville game here this week?
Taylorville heads off to Columbia, which is south of St. Louis. It's going to be about a 2-hour drive for me and my.
Isn't that New York City?
That's pretty close to New York City, yeah. So they take on the Columbia Eagles, and they are 0-2.
Taylorville is 2-0. So I get one question to ask about the game because we said for the first 3 weeks we get it.
Yep.
One question. My goodness. I got to think how I want to do it. What was the result of the last time the 2 teams played?
They have never faced each other.
Oh, crap. I'll take Taylorville. I'll roll with the NATOs. The NATOs. Is that what they call them? The NATOs? And you can put that in as the final answer.
Yeah, tornadoes. Yeah.
No, they don't shorten it with the NATOs or something like that? No. Well, John agrees and says undefeated stays undefeated. I don't know. That's what he's rolling with. I know Paul last week did pick McLean County to beat Grayson County, and he said 21-20, but Grayson County won the game 27-8. So he didn't believe in the Cougs. Which is very disappointing. Okay, let's rip it through here, Leroy. You get to. I presume you want to pick second again, right?
Yep.
Kentucky versus EKU in the UK game. I'll pick Kentucky. Leroy, you're taking Kentucky.
Yep.
Leroy, Northwestern hosts UTEP. Who you got?
University of Texas, El Paso, please.
You are picking UTEP. Finn Newman is going to carry Taylorville. Is Finn Newman a real? Did he Google their roster and Finn Newman is actually a player?
Because it's Finn Neiman, but yes, Finn Neiman is. He did score a touchdown for him last week. Yeah.
Interesting. I love that Cheese just went and Googled to see who it is. So you're picking UTEP.
I am picking UTEP.
And I am going to very much regret this, but I'm going to pick Northwestern.
Are you picking Northwestern?
I am. Leroy, I guess I pick now. Western Kentucky hosts Houston Baptist. I'm going to take WKU. Leroy.
Yeah, go Tops.
Ingles open up the new season at the Cleveland Browns. Leroy, who you got?
Sam, if you guys don't win by 30 points, man, I'm going to go with the Bengals, baby.
Said it last night, and I'll say it here. Browns.
Really?
Browns win the game.
You understand that like half of the Bengals fans will jump off the bandwagon
like
immediately.
Yes. Bears versus the Packers. I pick first this time. Oh, it's in Chicago, right?
Yes.
I'll take the Packers.
Yeah, it's a Sunday 3:25 game in Chicago.
And you are picking the Packers or the Bears?
Bears. I know I'm shooting myself in the foot, but God dang it, I believe, man.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to hate on you. John Malone says Watson is getting them pregame massages. Paul Reeves, Bengals, but the Browns could win. Paul's picking the Bears.
Yeah,
Love sucks. Yeah,
and that's my home. Like Chicago could lose every game the entire year, and if they beat the Packers both weekends, Bears fans are happy forever, man. Let's go.
I picked the Packers. I'm sorry about that. Okay, Leroy, you get to pick your random games. You get to go first since you are in the lead.
All right, my random game of the week is number 20 Mississippi taking on number 24 Tulane.
Jerk. And this game is in Tulane, correct?
It is in Tulane. Starts at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon.
So do you pick first on this, or do I pick first? How did we decide to do that last week? Oh, gosh.
You do.
My goodness. I'll take Ole Miss.
Okay. All right. I'm going with Tulane.
I had a feeling that was going to be the case there. Leroy, Colorado and Deion Sanders host Nebraska.
Oh, we didn't.
Are you buying into the Deion hype?
We didn't have any time to talk about Colorado this week, and I'm fine with that. But there's no way Nebraska wins this game. As much as I dislike Colorado, they got it. I'm going to go with the Buffs.
I agree. I'm picking Colorado in that. Leroy, your next game.
My next game is the Miami Dolphins heading out to San Diego to take on the Chargers.
You mean LA?
Sure.
Remember, the Chargers are not in San Diego anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ooh. I'll take the Chargers.
All right. And I will go with the Chargers as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to go different. This week was going to be very different. Okay. I have gone back and forth which game I want to pick here. But you know what? I'll just go with it. Tomorrow night, Kansas City Chiefs host the Detroit Lions. Leroy.
No. I was really hoping you were going to go Cowboys Giants. I was really hoping you were going to go.
It's either going to be this one or Pittsburgh against Cincinnati in college football.
All right, the game is in Kansas City. That place is loud. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Take the Chiefs. The comment section's rolling with the Lions.
Comment section is rolling with the Lions. Interesting.
Listen, I want to pick the Lions, and we're not allowed to do this, Leroy. We're going to make this rule right now, and I think you'll agree. No contingency plans. We can't make the pick of if Travis Kelce plays, pick the Chiefs.
No, yeah, right.
None of that.
No.
None of that.
The only question that I had was, what if they tie? That was the only question that I had for this. What did we do in the past?
No points. We'll just say no points. Yeah, I think that's fair. No points.
Yep.
No points. Yeah. No
once that pick is locked in, it's locked in. There's no contingency on if Justin Fields plays or not.
I'll take the Chiefs too. So our picks again, running through it really quick. In Grayson County, Butler County, Leroy picks Grayson. In Taylorville at Columbia, I pick Taylorville. Kentucky EKU, we both go with Kentucky. Northwestern hosting UTEP. Leroy goes with the Miners. I'm picking the Wildcats. Who'd have thunk that'd be the one? WKU, Houston Baptist, we're both rolling with the Tops. Bengals, Browns. Leroy's with the Bengals. I'm with the Browns. Bears, Packers. Leroy's the homer, going with the Bears. I'm picking the Packers. We agree on Colorado, Nebraska, both picking Colorado. We agree on Chiefs and Lions, both picking the Chiefs. We agree on Dolphins, Chargers, both picking the Chargers. And we split. I go Ole Miss. Leroy goes with Tulane.
The other guys.
Well, heck, this has set our new record for longest show ever.
Yep. Let me get my 40 seconds of racing in, and then we can close it out.
Oh, it's past my bedtime.
Oh, is it past your bedtime?
It is.
Oh.
Okay, let me put your 40 seconds of racing on the screen.
Thank you. Alex Palou wrapped up the championship last week, but for some stupid reason, IndyCar decides that they're going to have their last race the same weekend as the opening for NFL season, which I don't understand, but they do. So they head out to a track called Laguna Seca out in the middle of nowhere in California with one of the craziest corkscrews ever, where it doesn't even matter that they're going out there because the championship is already wrapped up. Will Power is trying to pick up a win. He has won in 18 seasons in a row, or 17 seasons in a row. He's trying to make it 18. He's only got one more chance to get that. If he doesn't, it's going to be quite a streak that ends there if he's not able to pick up a win on Sunday.
There you go. Your racing recap for the week. An hour and 21 minutes into the broadcast. We broke down the NFL. We broke down gas stations, Halloween, relegation, logos, picks.
Yeah, we've gotten through everything. We didn't even get to the off my chest section. I was going to complain about the fact that people think our job as broadcasters is really, really easy until they actually sit up in that press box and listen and try to keep up with it. And all of a sudden they realize that that's actually, our jobs are not as easy as what they look like. The only reason it looks easy is because I'm going to be arrogant. We're darn good at what we do.
I'm not necessarily going to toot my own horn on that. Depends on the day. We have our good days.
We do.
We have our good days. And then we have our days like tonight where I had to broadcast high school soccer. And instead, I just got distracted by the middle school softball game that was happening on the other side of campus. And instead, I pretty much was trying to give as much play-by-play of that as possible because, and all of a sudden, you'd see it during the game, a softball would pop into the air. I was like, that's good. Paul says, Leroy, I have Diggs, Lamb, and Devontae Smith on his fantasy team.
And again, they're going to sit there and be like, gee, why is Paul winning every week? Well, why you let him get the players like that, man? That's awesome, Paul. My goodness.
My team's not too bad.
I was able to get a lot of good players, and then I got Richardson and Daniel Jones at quarterback. So, it's stacked everywhere except for my quarterback position. So, I'm really hoping Richardson goes off this year.
Richardson's my backup. So he's my backup to Jalen Hurts.
All right.
And I pretty much got him. I pretty much got him as if this actually works, then I could use him as some trade bait. Because Jalen Hurts, I don't think I'm going to need, a contingency plan with that.
But again, Paul, that blows me away, man. That absolutely blows me away, bud. Good grief.
He's Richardson in all of his leagues. Phew. I mean, listen, I for your sake, I hope you're right. Yeah, he's also a Colts homer. Well, listen, you is who you is. I respect it. Leroy, this has been fun as always. Yeah. Almost an hour and a half in.
Yeah. Make sure you put that like button on Spotify. Every little bit helps. Check us out there and check us out on YouTube as well.
Yep. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We literally only have 2 subscribers, and I think both are me. Have you subscribed yet, Leroy?
On YouTube, no. I've subscribed everywhere else, but not on YouTube. I need to get on there and take care of that.
Yeah, make sure you run in and do that. And Paul, John, appreciate you taking the time to. Where's Ringo? We got Paul and John. Where's Ringo? And George. We need a George in there as well. But
we need Ringo.
That was just for you, Leroy. That'll wrap us up for this week. We'll be back. Normal time next week. Well, I guess we were normal time tonight as well. 9:00, wrapping up the first week of the NFL season and probably talking a little college football and who knows what else might happen, right?
You know it.
It's been fun as always, Leroy.
Definitely. Appreciate you, Sam. Thank you, everyone.